Yeah, I'm very sorry about the audio or lack thereof from the last video. So that last video was a total flop, waste of time for you and for me, mainly for me. But anyway, let's try and make up for it here. So I think all I really summarized from the last video was the markets are stronger, obviously. That the S&P, the Nasdaq, and the Russell were the stronger ones. The Dow was the laggard, and it's still the case now. Um, Rates made a bit of a comeback. The dollar was trying to reclaim its not reclaim, it's holding the line on its ascending support. We're going to get to all of this anyway. And that I was still surprised at gold and silver's strength, although silver remains weaker. And the miners are continuing a climb higher, mainly following gold, I would say, and the markets. That's really a very, very tiny nutshell summary of yesterday. So today, I mean, more of the same. S&P, and like yesterday, we closed below the descending line. So still haven't really cleared that. I mean, if we cleared that, it'd be more bullish, but that's not the case. Very tight pennant, let it happen. I don't know who's eager to trade immediately now. I mean, unless it's really a day trade or a 1 or 2 day swing trade, I don't see why you would base the buying of a stock on market action now. On either way, it's not really obvious which way it's going to go. If I had to side in a particular direction, it would be to the downside, just because we're in a recession, we're in a slash depression, slash stagflationary depression, slash bear market with geopolitical black swans all over the place, right? Look at the Russia-Ukraine. That's ongoing. Russia's making serious advances now, serious advances. They're trying to provide tanks. Like Norway's going to send 8 Leopard 2 tanks. Germany's going to send some 10 of them. They don't even know how to drive them over there. And 20 tanks is nothing compared to thousands. Russia has a total advantage over the battle space anyway, so it's kind of a waste. Plus, they don't even know how to drive them over there. If they break down, no spare parts. It's like unnecessary escalation of tensions, and that's just Ukraine. You have loads of different theaters, and that's just the military component. Imagine the monetary component. You've got the BRIC nations, South Africa joining, your Saudi Arabia intensifying. It wants to trade in gold. All this stuff going on in the background. Total recession, inflation, and they say, "Oh, inflation's coming down." Yeah, you mean inflation's still very, very high. Prices are going up every year. They're not coming down. They're just going up less. And all of this is based on the belief that the central banks are going to tame inflation, and they've never achieved anything in life. Anyway, little rant. I just don't think the technicals support the fundamentals. Although I trade on technicals and I respect them, even if I disagree them. I mean, I'm not, I do sort of fall back on fundamentals sometimes, and I don't know who's going to buy, the S&P with all of that in the background. But anyway, S&P, once we've taken this out, if we take it out, it'll be extra strong. But right now has closed below the descending. The Nasdaq closed above the descending line yesterday, so that was impressive. Today again holds above it despite being a red day. I think you've got quite a lot of tech stocks reporting earnings. The stock market essentially is a reflection of companies and their profitability, which is based on earnings. So really, the stock market, the Nasdaq, especially in this case, should really move to reflect the earnings of the companies that report this week, especially the tech stocks. So I think you should just wait and see what happens with earnings. Earnings is always a crapshoot. It can go either way. People just gamble when they buy on earnings. That's my opinion. I know you have these analysts that follow stocks really closely, and some analysts just follow 1 or 2 stocks, and they are really experts in that field. There, fair enough. But otherwise, if you're not really familiar with the business, why gamble on earnings? So why therefore gamble on the indice? Or if you're going to buy another, if you're going to buy another stock that's really dependent on the Nasdaq, and the Nasdaq's really going to move in accordance to a particular tech stock's earnings, just get out the way, let the earnings happen, see the direction. But for now, we're holding a close above this descending line, so relatively strong. Let's see what happens. I think Microsoft had earnings. They weren't good, but still the stock's up 3% after hours. But let's see what happens, pre-market or during regular hours tomorrow. That's where it really counts. The Dow Jones, so despite the Nasdaq and the SPY strength, the Nasdaq being obviously the strong one, Dow Jones being the weaker one for once, right? It's been leading the pack all the way up here on the way up, but this way down, it was the weakest. And also again here on these red bars, it was the weakest. And on the way up here, although it's green today, unlike the others, it's also, 1 or 2 days behind, I would say. So I wouldn't be surprised if the Dow leads us all the way down and does some catching up on the way down. So it's the weaker one. The Russell 2000, I know that the Nasdaq is above its descending line, but I would say that the Russell is actually the strongest, because a breakout of this is the descending plus the horizontal, plus it's hitting its head like 3 or 4 times. So, but it's still, for me, asking quite a lot to, 7-8% move to the next 200 zone. It's asking a lot with all the fundamentals. So, Russell is really small business. I can understand if you have, and the type of move we've had the last couple of days, even the rally just before, it was kind of a speculative rally. It's like Bitcoin went up. All of the Bed Bath and Beyonds, the AMCs, all of those, even some of the stocks I own, they were literally lottery tickets. They got destroyed on the way down. And then on the way up, you could see things like Oatly, right? Tilray. I'm talking about some of the stocks I own here. They just went up massive. Hive. Okay, Hive, that was a cryptocurrency. Just 100% plus moves. And they all have the same common thread, which is they are more speculative stocks, tied more to the Nasdaq, I would say. So yeah, what goes up will come down to, and I think I'm gonna get out of the way here. I've actually sold a lot, and I'm gonna cover my portfolio in this video because I haven't done it in a while, and it's one of the only ways I can think of to make up for the sound loss. Let's look at the VIX. So just to summarize, market's strong, some indices stronger than others, but I've just got to bring in the fundamentals because I'm not bullish despite the price action. The VIX, all the way down, getting very low here. I don't know who's short on the VIX down here, but you've got to either have insider knowledge or know that it's a broken indicator, which it is. Just watch out for this descending line. You break out of that, I think you've got a lot of, well, I don't know, the upside's been pretty muted, but, more of a chance to make money on the upside. So watch the descending line on the VIX. That's all I'm going to say about the VIX because it annoys me, to be honest. It's totally broken. Interest rates, sideways. I'm not going to talk about the 1 year because we really haven't moved to the upper end or the lower end of the channel here. So just sideways on the 1 year. The 2 year, I mean, if we ignore today, the last 3 days sort of reclaimed some of what it's lost. So I'm going to try and cut it some slack here. I just feel like we're drifting sideways down and we'll eventually break out. I really do think that. And this price action suggests the same. I mean, we had a breakdown, really not a violent one, but, we've reversed quite well. So I think we can get to 4.5 pretty quickly on the 2 year. And remember, the 2 year is the one the Fed tends to follow, right? So it's really the market's in charge of interest rates when it comes to the 2 year, and it's the Fed catching up. The 5 year, not the most relevant one, but, copying the 2 years of making up ground for what it's lost. The 10 year, like the 2 year, is very important. And this is really what the economy is based on, the larger economy. And by that, I mean, if you have a mortgage or car loan, I don't know, student loans are generally based on the 10 year. So, and that's also why they look at the 2s and the 10s for inversion. So it's really the 2 and the 10 that I look at the most, but they're all important. The 30 year is also important, just to see the really long dated yield curve. But you can see the 10 and the 30 just also recovering and not really looking that weak, and I still think we're going to break higher. I don't know when. I really don't know when, but they've all got their little descending line, and that's the one I'm looking for a breakout of. So let's see. The European yields, they are stronger. They are stronger than the American yields. and they'll probably make new highs earlier. So that will, have to keep an eye on that. So yeah, the EU 10-year basically represents all of it. It's essentially a copy of the German 10-year. Let's look at the dollar. The dollar, what I said yesterday still applies today. In yesterday's video, that was totally on silent. So we are holding this ascending line. I've got to zoom out for it to make real sense. We are holding this line, which is essentially 101.5, let's call it. And today, again, we held it, higher low. In fact, all three are higher lows. And it was a higher high. It doesn't really matter too much, but still, when we're getting this tight, it starts to matter a bit. But I would say I think the DXY has put in enough of a show to justify a bounce to 103.5. And if we go to 103.5, we'll probably have a bit of follow through. So these two targets remain valid. I do think we'll test there. And then, even if we do test all the way up here to 105, 104.5, very tight range. So we're going to break out or break down with volume very soon. And I honestly don't know which way it'll go. I mean, I think we'll have a technical bounce here on the dollar. That'll probably send commodities down and the market down. But then what happens? Do we go back down here? Or do we maybe go sideways and break out higher to the 106 zone? I think we'll go to the 106 zone. But I've said this before, the dollar has so much resistance on the way up. I find it hard to believe that it goes all the way to old highs, 114 or 120. It can happen. When you have those total panic capitulation sell-offs, everything's being sold. Honestly, in like 1 week, you could get the DXY to like the 110 or higher. I mean, that is possible. Just a massive spike, huge follow through, panic liquidation. Everyone wants to cash, and it's back on to new highs, 114, 120. But if there's just this continuation of slow grind, like orderly decline, orderly chaos, as we've been having, you're going to get a lot of resistance on the way. This descending line, the horizontal, the next one would be here, 108, or whatever you want to call it. Then the next horizontal, then these highs. There's going to be lots of little steps to clear. So I'm very short-term bullish on the dollar, but yeah, I wouldn't be able to say long-term bullish because there's so many roadblocks. And fundamentally, dollar, another fiat currency with massive inflation, won't beat gold. So I prefer to hold gold and dollars. I just, I hold dollars so that I can buy gold stock. So I guess I'm long the dollar. Anyway, those are my thoughts. Looking for a bounce, basically. And the same will apply to the FX. So, dollar up, FX, euro down, dollar up against the Japanese yen, etc., etc. The pound down, double top, down we go. Let's look at commodities. I always look now at copper first. I just go down the list: copper, gas, oil, and then the metals. Well, copper is a metal, but I think we've got a bit of a resistance here. It's hard to call the resistance on copper, but I think around where we are is resistance. I think this sort of daily candle here, and we haven't really ventured higher. Plus, it just feels like a peak. And with what I think is going to happen in the dollar, and knowing how the gold chart looks, kind of getting to resistance. I mean, it's gone through resistance after resistance. So I think it's a bit of a top here in copper, and I expect it to come back down to all breakout at 4. So let's look at natural gas. I've said this is a buy several times. To be honest, what I said yesterday, and I could lie, but what I said yesterday in the video, which no one heard, is that I'm more bullish copper now, and that was based on this hammer here, than I was before. Now, having said that, this is a very bearish candle. It's it's a rejection, close near low of day. But I'll stick to what I said. I mean, I've just admitted what I said, but I still think that we've got a bit of a bottom down here. So what I did say also was that I would have bought at 4. I've said that. I would have bought around 3.5 probably, but I wouldn't be buying at 3. I'd be looking for, those two buys would have been sort of as a general area buy around 3.75 average. But I go in with machine guns. When I trade a new position, let's say, I won't buy once or twice, 50%. It's really going to be something like 5 times 20%, maybe more. I go in with lots of layers. So I wouldn't even be 40% in my position here. And I wouldn't be buying the rest here. I'd be waiting for 2.5, or I'd be waiting for it to get to 2.5. And if all of a sudden something happens, or it looks technically like it's going to reverse, if I zoom in on a daily chart and I'm watching the 3 minutes and I see a sort of pattern that I like, high lows, I'll just say, okay, in. And that will be my next general area buy. So what I'm trying to say is I base it all on technicals. I zoom out. I look at where I think it's going to go generally, like I'm zoomed out now. Then when it's getting to an area where I think it's going to go, so imagine we're at 2.5, so for example, imagine it's, I don't know why I'm showing it here, but imagine it's trading lower and it's getting to 2.5. And if all of a sudden I zoom in and I see sort of higher low pattern like this, and I see I don't know, the dollar go down and commodities go up, and I see natural gas about to make a new high, I just buy straight away in at 2.8. That will be the same as being in at 2.5. It's like this entire area has been covered. I'm in this area. And then my average, imagine I bought at 4, imagine I bought at 3.5, and then imagine I bought at 2 point whatever, 7 or 2.8. And imagine it's the same value. My average will be like 3 point, whatever it is, 3.3. And once, usually you'll kind of get this right at some point. Sorry, let me get back here. It takes one day and you'll ride at average. And any follow through, you're in profit straight away. And then you start selling. And again, you sell the way you buy. You don't just sell in one go, unless there's some liquidation event or you have to or whatever. But sell 20%, sell 20%. You can sell 20% every day. You can sell 50% every day of your position. So anyway, I don't know why I decided to go into that here on natural gas, but it's just to say you never go in 100%. It's to save yourself mentally, because that way you're always looking for a price drop. Like as soon as you buy, you want it to go down, you want to lose money. It's kind of like a psychological hedge, but also it gives you flexibility, peace of mind. You're more sober, you're more neutral, you're more objective, and you're more likely to make money, and you're more likely to lose less money. So I just wanted to say that I still think it's a buy, and even if it goes lower, you got to have a plan for that. And to be honest, I'm not even buying natural gas, so I'll leave that there. I do think natural gas will go up, although after today's candle, yeah, it could flush $3. But again, I think in a couple of weeks you'll be above 4. So depends on your time horizon. Everything depends on your time horizon and your age and your character. What type of trading suits you ultimately. If you're very old and if you have like I don't know, a lot of savings and you're looking for some income, that's much more different than if you've got 10,000 and you're aggressive and you're young and you don't care if you lose that money. And so it always depends. That'll be content for another video. Oil broke out of its descending line. I haven't actually looked at oil. You can tell because I haven't changed the lines. Broke out of its descending line sideways. I know today was a down day. I don't really know the news. I'm sure there's a reason, or it's just technicals and they just came up with whatever news to justify it. But sideways action for me, it's going to go up. Nothing really to speak of there. I'll eventually draw all the lines in. I'll finish that later. I think it will go sideways up. I really do. So that's what oil did. I'm still bullish. Gold. Yeah, it just doesn't stop going up. It does not stop going up, and every candle is really strong. I mean, look, another one where you have a wick going down to 1918, and yet we close a new high. I mean, this is the strongest close since months, whatever. Since the bear market started. So very strong close, hit new highs, higher low, highest close. just amazing. You know, nothing stops the march to 1950. I think today we even mentioned in the 40s. So, you know, if you're in the 40s, you basically hit 50. You know, I mean, look, 1943, you don't have to see 1950 to say gold went to 1950. 43 is 50. Silver, now yesterday I did say, look, massive flush. And I remember seeing silver early in the day, -4%. I thought, yes, finally, you know, finally we're going to have this retracement I wanted because I want my miners cheaper. Finally, silver will pull gold down. And then before you know it, silver rallies and it's only down 2% by end of day. It's now looks like it's got very strong support, not support, a lot of buying down here. So it makes it stronger. It actually made the chart a bit stronger because of all this dip buying and closing within, you know, above this horizontal. So, and then, yes, sorry, what am I talking about? Yeah. And then today, which is actually this candle here, we had another move up. So we've regained a little bit more. And obviously now we're starting the next day, which would be Wednesday. So, I mean, ultimately, I was pretty happy early on with silver flushing. 4% is a big move for silver. But you know, with it closing only down 2%, and with today's price action, we're really not that much down at all. Meanwhile, gold's making new highs. So silver is unable to do what I hoped it would do. For now, it's still within this tight range. Let's see. Let's see. I think silver still wants to come down. It's just, yeah, I don't know. Gold's just too strong. It's just gold is not letting it. So also we need that dollar to bounce for silver to go down. But yeah, what can I say? It's still very resilient. The miners, I mean, these things basically following gold more than silver, both of them. I mean, when you've got gold up making new highs, and then you've got the markets looking strong as we saw them at the beginning, you know, the S&P, the Nasdaq, the Russell. It doesn't surprise me that the miners just keep inching higher, you know, 1.5% every day, you could say. And here we have basically the best close since the bear market started. You know, it's the same as this one here, but we actually retraced, bounced off support since then. So this is definitely the most bullish candle. And yeah, we could just do another sort of day like today, tomorrow, where we just make a little move to a new high, 2%, nothing special. GDXJ, exactly the same chart. It's absolutely beautiful, to be honest. And yeah, that would be another 3%, 3.5% tomorrow. GDXJ, which usually moves more than GDX, just like it did today. Although it would require a bit more of a move. But yeah, it could do that tomorrow. And then we've hit the next resistance. And then on to the next one, which I thought would equate to gold at 2000. I don't know. I mean, I'm happy that obviously I wish I hadn't sold some of my miners. I mean, I didn't close any positions, but I trimmed them. But had I just kept it, yeah, I mean, I wasn't sure whether I actually would have made more money if I never touched my miners, because I did do a lot of good trades where, you know, these zones here, the selling over here and the buying back there and the selling there. I don't actually know whether I would have made more money if I didn't touch anything. I think it would be about the same. It's very hard to judge, and there's no point actually in could have, should have, and it doesn't contribute really to my winnings in the future in any way. But yeah, you've got to respect the continued strength and the people who bought and held and didn't get, you know, didn't get tricked into selling these areas, these pumps over here. But I will tell, you know, it's just the way I've learned to trade, you know, sell into strength, sell something. So if it goes up another 10%, if this moves up 3%, and let's say I have a miner that went up, I don't know, 10%, because its own personal chart has its own gap to fill or its own next technical level, sell that, sell something, sell 20% of it. You know, if I've got Newmont, which is worth $5,000 and it moves up here, now it's worth $5,400, take out 400. Now it's worth 5,000 again, just as it was worth down here. So that's what I do when I trim. I want a mine to be worth a certain amount. And if it goes up and it's worth a bit too much, I sell it back to what it was supposed to be. And that is another psychological hedge, and it really helps build your portfolio compound, especially if it goes back down, you can buy back, using some of that ammunition, as I call it. Actually, speaking of which, Newmont, quite funny, today, if I can just segue into that, very strange, very strange chart. Now, I am going to 50, 60. No, it's not. The high of day was 57.08. This chart is ruined here. I think there was some pre-market, but on the regular trading hours, it opened at 57.08. I don't know why it shows that there, but I actually nailed that 57.08. That was me selling selling Newmont at the high of day, right at the open. I don't know. I was not at my desk. These are good till cancel sales, but I'm not sure why this chart, maybe pre-market was crazy. I think there was some news and it halted. Something weird. I need to check into it. But all I know is I sold some shares twice at some unlucky person at 57.08, and then it basically closed at 53. So that was cool because I basically made the high of day of the whole market. But now that I see the candle here, I think there was some pre-market news that makes it look like 57.08 was not the high of day, but it was in regular hours. Anyway, let me cover Bitcoin very quickly, and then I'll do my portfolio. Bitcoin, broke out of this. That was cool. Kind of called that. So, and I moved to here, independent of the market. That happened. Then we started to correlate with the market, but the market went up, so it went higher. Now we're here. Like I said, Bitcoin is more of a speculative play with the Nasdaq. 25,000 is the obvious next level. I find it to be very strong resistance. It should be very, very strong resistance. It's also prior support now. Sorry, where are I? 25,000. Yeah, so it's prior support here. I think it's very strong resistance after that 30,000. But let's see, because yeah, we need the Nasdaq to go higher, I think, for this. But Bitcoin is not weak yet. So there's that. So I really do not rule out onward to 25,000. But if it does get there, honestly, I'll probably close my crypto mining stock, which I use as an exposure to crypto. Let me quickly cover my portfolio. So all the way up here, I've got my miners that have done very well. So Barrick Gold has been pretty solid, very solid. My entry was like 13 or something, so I'm very good with Barrick. Although I held it at 15 and 13. I think my average like high 13s or 14 or something. But very good. It looks a bit like the Newmont chart. Really strong round bottom here. So I'm holding it. I don't own enough of it, so I'm just holding it now. Newmont, I mean, this candle is ridiculous, but essentially it's just been grinding higher, a bit like Barrick Gold. Good dividend, just like Barrick Gold. These are fantastic holds, to be honest, especially if the miners are going to keep going up with the metal long term. Agnico Eagle, done even better, great bottom. And now, actually, I didn't realize this, but now we are at the descending line. Although it closed above it. Yeah, the descending line would actually be a bit lower, so definitely closed above it. I didn't know that. But again, this will be dependent on the miners. Wheaton, I have no idea what's going on with that candle. I'm going to ignore the wick here, but just another move higher. Very, very strong move up. I would say we've got 46 as a bit of resistance, and then clear skies until this descending. But that's a very impressive move up. Wheaton, another sort of royalty beast. I mean, all of these top ones up here, basically seniors, and they're all there because they're strong. Pan American Silver, yeah, it hasn't moved up too much. I still think this is this will make more gains than the other ones up here because it's silver and because it just hasn't moved up enough yet. So I think the targets that I have are still valid. Mag Silver, that was outperforming for a while and since has lost a bit of strength. I've actually sold this one a bit more than I would normally because I noticed that. Let's see, next resistance is prior resistance $17. Then up here, Grand Colombia made a nice move. I've sold into that already. I'm not going to sell until this next zone over here, this resistance line over here. Goldfields, I mean, this pop up here I sold into, didn't buy back enough, and actually have not even sold this move over here. Very, very strong since basically backing out of the Yamana deal. So this, I mean, also why I bought this stock was because it just made new highs before the market was forced down. So I do think it's one of the candidates to make new highs pretty quickly. And so far, it looks like it's doing it. Fortitude, I chased it here on breakout because it was a late breakout after the general miners had already made a massive move. So I thought it would just have a delayed move, which is what it did. I already sold what I bought on breakout all the way up here. So I'm not selling higher because I've already sold here. Remember, I trade in area ways. So this is a good example. I bought this breakout thinking that it would continue because the miners had already made a move. That was correct. That's not a technical skill. That was just me sort of predicting or whatever. So that's not a skill. But the fact that I bought this area meant that I was satisfied. So I'd literally bought this area here. All right, let me just move this here as resistance now. This for me means the same as buying down here. It means if it was to come all the way back down, I wouldn't buy here. I've already bought here. I'd be buying, if it came back down here, I would only buy, let's say if it goes down to there. You know, that's my next support zone, let's just say. So yeah, that's what I mean by area buys. I zoom in on the chart. I really try and get the best price, obviously. But as soon as I buy in my mind, and maybe I mark it on the map, I say this area has been bought. And likewise, I sold, I think it was 644 or something. I said, I think this is resistance. You can tell why, my descending line. The miners were also at what I thought was resistance because it hit what I thought was resistance several times. And then I zoom in. I'm like, okay, today I sell because we are at resistance for this stock. The sector is generally at resistance. And then I'm looking at the stock, zoomed in. I'm looking at the miners, zoomed in. I'm looking at gold. I'm looking at the dollar, and I'm looking at the Nasdaq. And I'm looking at all of them and saying, okay, when are we going to go down? And as soon as I thought, okay, we're going to go down, I just sold. So I sell in the most tactical, detailed way, but based on a big zoomed out picture. You know, and I consider the sell good for a general area like here. If it keeps going up now, next sell, I don't know, maybe for this stock it's a bit special, maybe all the way up here, you know, this trend line, for example. So I'm not going to touch it for between 640, whatever, let's call it 650, all the way up to here, 20%, let's say. So I'm good. I don't care what happens. I've sold this area and I'm not touching it if it goes up 15%, unless it goes up 15%, or unless it comes down, let's say 15%. So that's what I mean by area buys and sells. You use both tactical and sort of zoomed out, more strategic. Anyway, so I've sold what I bought, so that's cool. Yeah, First Majestic, very weak. Thing about, okay, I know silver's not stronger than gold right now, but silver's pretty damn strong. It's near its old highs. Why is First Majestic down here? I don't even know if there's any news. And the miners, you know how they're doing. They're just constantly new highs, high lows. So First Majestic, very weak. I'm not buying it because what if the sector goes down? You'll be able to get a real bargain price, $7 or cheaper on First Majestic. And this is a beast. This is a big silver stock. This isn't some small discovery play. But yeah, this is a bit special, a bit of an anomaly because it just stands out. The other silver stocks aren't doing that badly. For example, Fortuna, right? That looks more like the silver and the GDXJ, just 1 or 2 days from new highs. This I haven't sold or bought in quite some time. I think I sold 399 some days, some weeks ago here. And then since then, I didn't buy back. Therefore, I'm not selling. But it's pretty strong. EXK looking also good. I actually don't know when I last sold this, but I don't even think I'm gonna sell 385. I think I'll go straight for 4. I'd expect if EXK to go, if that makes new highs, then probably the whole sector is making new highs. CDE, another one that I have not sold yet, but I probably could because it's oh, actually, I think my sell is at 429. I think I just missed that today. But I might delete that because I'm pretty sure this will actually pop all the way up to 5. So I might delete my sell and get a bit greedy on this one. Because I mean, look at it, all the way down here, whilst you've got the miners and gold really high. I mean, this should be 100% higher from where it is. Discovery, this is something I bought all the way down here, average in the 80s. This is a great stock. I think a lot of people like Discovery Silver. This is one that essentially will go all the way up to new highs if gold takes out 2,000. I mean, this will be at $2. So another 100%. TGLDF, one of those weird ones that basically is hanging around its lows. Haven't added to it and haven't been able to sell this in a while, so haven't been able to swing into it. This one, though, I sold today, breakout. I think I had good drill results, and I had sells in at 33. I think it's even here, 33.50 and 40.76. So I sold that. That was nice. Yeah, this one I'm not going to see. This one, because I sold, for example, I'd sold 33. Okay, that's why was 33 sold? I think it was just the recent high over here. I was looking to just clip it. And then 40, I don't know why I sold 40.76. I mean, normally I'd be 39, or I think it must have been some fat finger OTC thing, but you can see why I guess I wanted that zone. Next zone, I think I've already put my sells in. The 44.89, I think, is my sell. And then 49.89, just under 50. So my next sells are really like this. Bam, bam, out. And it's going to be sort of 25% of the position. So enough for another spike higher and then probably all out before one. Rain is silver. I've actually sold this move here, but I have not bought back yet. I'll probably wait for even lower because I'm greedy like that. Now I'm going to move into the non-gold stocks. So Trillion, this energy, this is the natural gas play. I have actually bought this back. I bought it back. I buy the TRLEF, by the way. I bought it back at 28 because I thought finally natural gas is going to bounce. So this is my natural gas play. This is a fantastic stock, by the way. You have to just watch an interview with the CEO, Art something. I forgot his name, but just type in Trillion Energy. You'll find his interviews. I believe the business has a lot of potential. So look into that. And I just bought because I'd already trimmed this all the way up here. And I just think natural gas is a buy now. So that's why. Then I have my 3D companies. Been building a position here. I have not sold in several days. I think I may have sold down here, trimmed a little bit what I bought down here, but this is something I'm looking to build a massive position in. So I'm not looking to sell, zoom out. I'm not looking to sell all down here. I trimmed a small amount just to look forward to a inevitable move back down when the Nasdaq drops, but I'm looking to really build a massive position in 3D printing, including this stock. Same goes for this DM stock, which I've traded very well. I was actually at a big loss down here, but I've traded so well. I'm honestly in the black. Even here, I sold a lot on this way down. I've also sold this move up because the market's gone up crazy. So I sold into it. Then I really sold again. Honestly, I have like very little left. I want it to go lower and just keep trading it. This is a 3D stock that I do not believe in that much. This is more of a speculative one. DDD, I consider a senior. DM, I consider more of a junior speculative, potential bankruptcy. So just have fun with it, but don't deploy too much cash. It's got to be worth like a quarter of DDD. And then DM, this is another one that I rate the same degree as 3D printing, another 3D printing stock. So, and this one's had a good day today, but also it's really putting a nice bottom. Look how destroyed these are. These are 100% potentials any day, really. Think about what's been going on in the market. This thing has held, it's had green days when the market's just been very red, and it looks very strong. Actually, even today, now that I look at it, I think it's very, very strong. I can see this coming all the way back up to 3 point something easily. I mean, you got to know the balance sheet too, which I actually don't know that well enough, but I think this is a fantastic company. There are probably 4 or 5 very good 3D printing companies out there, and I think it's the future. You don't need to have all this labor, have even all this material. You just print. You need a spare part for your bike, for a tank, a car, a computer, a space shuttle, anything, a keyboard, a mouse. You just print it, and I mean, for me, it's just the future. And you could have robots just colonizing planets just by printing material. They don't need to go back to Earth and pick stuff off. You don't need humans on planets building things for robots. The robots can print themselves almost. So maybe that's a bit too much in the future, but yeah, 3D printing is a sector I'm trying to get exposure to, and this is one of the best stocks that I know of. If you know more, please just tell me, because I'm looking to spread my exposure, not just be all in on 1 or 2 stocks. I prefer to be in a little bit in 8 stocks. Yeah, that's 3D printing. Hive, yeah, with Bitcoin had a meteoric run. So I know Bitcoin's up 30%, but that has nothing on the crypto stocks. So I'd been scaling in. I mean, essentially, I'd been scaling in here. I sold into this move, but I held a little bit on the way down. Didn't add. And then as soon as we started to flush, I started to add. Every time I thought there was a small bounce, it failed those small bounce. And then I actually chased, again, something I thought I was chasing here, but that turned out to be good because it just kept on going. And I've already sold this pop. It was 150%. So I sold basically half my position, totally in the black again, good money. But now it's going higher. And, I covered Bitcoin. I think 25,000 will be the high. So if we do get, this will be for 25,000, I will close my position. If we get to 25,000, I think Hive can get to 5. Let's see. I don't think it will get all the way up here. This is a 30,000 move. But you can always cut something in half infinitely. So if it goes all the way up to here, I'll probably sell half my position. And then if it goes up here, I'll close 100% of the position. That's what I'm guessing. Let's see how my emotions take over me once it gets there. But I think that's the plan. Tilray, another one that bounced nicely. I think I trimmed a very small amount, nothing to speak of. This one is just marijuana company. It went up here on the re-election Biden, and as usual, the whole thing's a fraud. So down it goes. I mean, the government's saying they're gonna deregulate marijuana. I mean, whether they do or don't, I never trust them. But yeah, I'm just looking for a move back up, and I'll sell again into it. I just trade this on the ranges. So I've sold a little bit. If it goes back down, I'll buy back. If it goes higher, I'll sell more. Very little in it, so I don't care. BHP, bought this all the way down here. Amazing. Doesn't surprise me that it's all the way up here, basically as if there was never a bear market. Fantastic dividend, real commodity beast. So just annoyed I didn't buy more. So I'm not going to sell this because it's not worth too much, and it's just something you hold forever, to be honest. So I'm just hoping for a massive market crash so I can buy more, and maybe buy its sister like Rio Tinto or Freeport-McMoran. I'm looking for those big mineral commodity stocks. But this one's just completely gone. I think I trimmed the smallest amount here, but otherwise I'm holding the whole position. Mind Medicine, another absolute speculative stock that moved up a lot the last couple of days with the market. This is a big sort of, not even 100%. I've sold into it. I sold into it here on this breakout. I think I sold into it on this horizontal line, and then I sold into it just under 371. I think it was 369. So now because I've sold these ranges, I'm leaving it. If it breaks higher, I've got more, and I'll probably close my whole position before the gap fill. Oatly is another one that moves crazy. See, there are quite a few of these. This one definitely did 100%. Yeah, I also sold this move. You can see why I sold this. So a move up here, I sold into a small amount. And then I started to get a bit heavier, sold a bit more, sold here, and then sold this pop day here. Although no, I sold at 399, 299, sorry, here. I didn't get to sell in the threes. So I wish I'd sold a bit more. And actually I wanted to sell yesterday, but didn't. And now I think the run is over. Down we go back down here. I'll be buying above 180. Let's call it 181, maybe 201, 181, and then we'll see. Maybe the market's collapsing and I want to stay away. But you machine gun on the way up and you machine gun on the way down at certain levels, and you consider those levels area buys and you leave it space. Just because I buy at 201 doesn't mean I'm going to be buying at 198. It's the same thing. And to be honest, if it's taken out $2, it's probably going to go to 180. So you can buy at 181. Yeah. Tesla, I bought that at 107. And all these things I've said in my videos. So call me out if you think if I'm not telling the truth. But 107, I believe it was on Tesla. Didn't buy much because I wanted it to go low because I thought the market was going to go lower. And because I don't have that much, I haven't sold any actually. Even though, how much is it up since the 107 buy? Yeah, almost 40%. To be honest, it just took out the descending. Nasdaq looks good. I wouldn't sell this until it gets all the way to, let me think about this. Yeah, maybe 170. Then I'd say, okay, it's done a hell of a bounce and it's going to go back down. But if it comes back down, I don't care because I don't have many shares. I think I've got like 10 shares, So I want to really double, triple on the way down. Even though I don't believe in this company, I think they lose more money than they make. I still recognize the potential to make a nice profit out of this, just swing trading. So if it goes significantly higher, I'll close the position because it's not much. If it comes back down, I'll be buying more to make it a bit of a stronger position so I can sell it more frequently. Amazon, a bit like Tesla, don't have enough. It was a very good buy. I forgot where it was. I think it's 85. But I bought them kind of on the same day, all these three, and they were basically on the lows. So same thing though, it's kind of at resistance. So I wouldn't be surprised if it comes back down. I hope it does. Then I can buy more. I might buy in the same area I bought last time because it's a good general area. And I think I should have more exposure to Amazon than I do. But I really am looking for a flush. But yeah. Zoom, again, same thing. They're all worth sort of the same amount. I think it's a good company. It's worth less than it was before COVID, and they made so much money after. So it should be higher. It's not going bankrupt, technically destroyed. This could bounce strong. It should bounce strong, almost regardless of news, positive or negative, especially negative. That's it. I didn't really plan to go through my whole portfolio, but there it is. Obviously, you guys who stuck around to watch it all did so because I have the menu also. You could have skipped it. I hope you found it interesting. Let me know though in the comments if you want me to cover certain stocks. I really don't mind doing that. Any stock. Or maybe you're interested in some of the ones I hold or whatever. But if you have any questions on the portfolio, let me know. I'm going to end it there because it's a really long video. Sorry about that. I have no choice when I cover my portfolio. Anyway, let's see what happens tomorrow. Yeah, have a good evening.